Senior Living on Location is produced by Senior Living Media, celebrating seniors in our community.
You may be familiar with an annual art exhibition called Fired Up. It shows off the incredible talents of a group of ceramic artists that have found a passion that has also turned into a career for some. These artists are all professional, and each has a unique approach to the craft. Senior Living on Location had the pleasure to talk to a few of the artists, including Glennis Marshall Inman. Glennis lives with her husband Basil, and together they're not only very active seniors, but seniors who are very much entrenched in both nature and art. Though Glennis is the feature of our story as an active member in Fired Up, we can't overlook the fact that her husband is also a talented fellow. Basil carves the most unique-looking tables on which Glennis uses to display some of her works. And it doesn't end here. This active couple also dabbles in llamas. Yes, they have a pottery/carving/llama farm. And their studio store features everything from Glennis's one-of-a-kind pieces to llama wool and clothing items made from this luxurious yarn.
It's a whole lifestyle. It's not, everything matters, I think. The detail of everything, the garden is important. And whatever you do, you like to eat outside, so you think about that. And then that may go off into functional work for eating outside. 1988. That we got our first llamas, and they are very much a part of our lives and our children and grandchildren. It all works together.
No matter what happens to this couple, something always positive seems to pop up from something most would see as trying.
I'll tell you something. I cooked for 40 years, right? And then we came out here and we sort of semi-retired, but he actually had to have a knee replacement. And in his recuperation, he learned how to cook. And I fell in love with him all over again. And it has been absolutely marvelous, just marvelous.
So we can see why Glennis is so inspired when it comes to her work, which, by the way, is all functional and food safe. Her creations definitely stand out not only in the whimsical nature of her designs, but colors and vibrancy.
I love functional work, absolutely. And my very first teacher was a functional potter. And it's like you're imprinted, like whatever you do in your life, early on, you'll be imprinted with something. And so all the studies that I did with that, the Japanese, it's still there. And though you move on and you do something like this, but now I'm going back and I have all these new designs for functional work. This piece here, the Fired Up show this year, the theme was the Salish Sea. And so we had to depict, that was our starting point. So this is like a tidal pool, and the title of it is actually Ocean Foam, so the crystalline glazes. But all this texture and everything comes from my walks on the beach.
Another favorite piece is this massive bowl.
It's called Teeming Teetering. So with the theme from Fired Up this year was the Salish Sea, so I wanted to depict what is in the Salish Sea. So this is teeming with life. And then with these pieces, the earthenware pieces, I like it to have an environmental say as well. So it's teeming, but it's teetering. So when people touch it, it makes them frightened. They think, oh, and it brings that to mind, the environment as well.
Glennis's studio and gallery are situated on a farm overlooking the Juan de Fuca Strait on Vancouver Island. Just before we arrived, the couple had just completed their involvement in the Souk's Secret Garden Tour weekend. Over 500 people had come to view their property and gardens. Glennis has been working with clay for over 38 years. She's been a core member of Fired Up for 12 years. She's dabbled in sculpture, jewelry, painting, and function work. Glennis believes that today's potter needs to be a designer, chemical technician, painter, and kiln firing expert, as well as a good business person and marketer. There are 11 full active members involved in Fired Up, and all of them are 50-plus years of age. Marlene Bowman is another member who got inspired in the craft a little later on in life.
I was in my 40s, and we moved from Saskatchewan, where I had a part-time English teaching job, and I attended one of these ubiquitous art classes, pottery classes. They're always all over the place, and particularly at that stage of the world. And it just hooked me immediately. I saw the teacher throw on the wheel a cylinder, and it brought tears to my eyes.
And Marlene has never stopped throwing since. She rather likes what she gets when the clay is slapped continuously, which she then shapes and creates wonderful impressions with tools she's either found or made herself.
It takes a while. It's an interesting process where you experiment a lot and play a bit and see what happens and stand back and admire or squish it up.
Marlene moved to Vancouver Island in 1993. Inspired by the rocks and forests around her, she discovered the excitement of exploring texture in clay. The 78-year-old has been a member of Fired Up for 7 years, but is retired this year as a core member from the organization due to her husband's ailing health. She continues to pursue her passion of working with clay in her inspiring studio, which is situated in a forest next to her home. Another creative force in the world of clay is Pat Weber. She's also created a wonderful home life where she pursues her passion for blending functional pottery art with a celebration of life.
Probably considered an outgoing person, and yet I have chosen a life where I work alone. And I love it. I've come to love the silence or whatever is around me and my work, the ability to focus without interruption. But then I bring in people and teach classes. And that's like an indulgence in people and in conversation, problem solving, and just the gift of giving what I know to other people.
Pat's inspiration comes from observing plants, animals, and rocks. She was born, raised, and schooled in Vancouver. She went to Oregon, where she graduated from their state university, and continued on at Portland's Museum Art School. Today, she lives and works on Salt Spring Island with her husband and newly adopted baby poodle. She's living her dream, creating her pottery as well as teaching her trade to others at a workshop located on her property. Her home also features a studio that's open to the public during certain months of the year. Every member of Fired Up is inspirational, with their own distinctive story to tell. We only had the chance to talk to but a few, including our last, but certainly not least, artist Gary Merkel, whose works can only be described as uniquely inspirational.
I think what stands me apart is that I'm more of a sculptor than a potter, and I use all hand building techniques. I don't use the wheel at all. I don't even own a wheel, so yeah.
Gary's works are not only sold on the island, but his creations can also be found in galleries in Toronto. Each year at the annual event, Fired Up invites guest artists to also exhibit their works. The artists in Fired Up have found that by coming together as a group and showcasing their varied works enables them to attract a greater audience of interest. What some of these artists taught us is that their passion led them to their career today. But you can just take classes and enjoy the creativity clay offers. It's a flexible medium that provides a therapeutic, artistic, hands-on opportunity to be creative. And most of all, it's actually fun to play with clay.
Beautiful, beautiful.